And good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitai, and this is another week. We're excited to be live and back on the show today. And we are always excited to receive you all into the show. And we're not wasting much time. I already see that we have some people who've joined us, and our all-time first timer, or would I say early riser, Favor Early Dogma. Thank you for joining this morning. And we're going to be having a fantastic time today. So please sit down, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa, to the entire world. Wherever you're streaming from, do let us know. Send in your name, your comments, your location. And if you do have questions, please do let us know. And if you're a first-time caller, also try to indicate there's something we call the bell of blessing. We always ring that for those who join us for the first time. And without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce my colleagues to join us, our fantastic analysts with energy, with zest. A lot of them are looking bright, sassy, early, and jazzy today. And I'll start with KK. KK, good morning. KK, how are you today?
Good to have you back here this
It's a
morning.
colorful Monday. It's a colorful Monday. I'm seeing the burnt orange, or is it just orange
Yes,
as it were? You're
absolutely.
feeling like a bottle of
Burnt
Fanta.
orange. Burnt orange.
All right.
Yeah.
And your cousin is in the building. She's trying to take the swag to the next level. I don't know if she's changing career from
Yay!
technology to fashion technology. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming the
Beautiful.
pink lemonade, the pink lady, all the way from Pinkalade. Welcome, Titi, in the building.
Good morning.
So Titi,
I
what's with
love
the
your glasses.
the pink glasses, the pink top?
And the hair.
Good morning. I'm impressed, the color burnt orange. That's impressive, honestly. Very impressive.
Why are you always looking for a job? You always look for someone to give a job, eh?
Keke, it's not impressive. It's impressive. Burnt orange. So good morning. Good morning.
All right. And I'd like to welcome Jude into the building.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get a surprise from Jude.
Oh, yeah, though. Wakoya. I'm going to take the sistership from Titi. I'm going to use my aqua levels.
Okay.
Interested.
Good morning, Jude.
I hope you all had a great weekend. I know for some of us, the weekend was a bit of work and rest. It is sometimes.
Yep.
But we're here and we're alive and we're grateful for life. And let's just head over to the news. We treat the headline news and straight to the topic of today.
Okay.
And we will be right back. Don't go away. We will be right back. We're heading for the headline news now. welcome back. And Safety Chick is also in the building.
Oh,
Safety Chick, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Yes, it is, birthday girl.
Yeah,
She your birthday song for the birthday girl. Or is the
birthday girl. As far as the show hasn't taken place, it's still our birthday. So, ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
we are extending by veto power the celebration for Safety Chick. So, Safety Chick's birthday is today, even though officially it was yesterday. So, I'm ringing the birthday bell, blessing, and expecting that Ugochi does not send us e-cake like some of our viewers.
Rosemary, you can send us the type he sent us.
Wait.
Nice one.
I don't understand. It is KK that is your cousin. Why are you cross-carpeting today, Titi?
No, I'm just saying that she can just send the kind of cake that you sent to us, and that'll be fine.
We didn't have a Good Morning Education show when I had my birthday. The show was my birthday gift.
No, we are started.
Okay, so favor your gift from KK is waiting for you and crying to be sent to you. You need to send us an email so that you can get the e-copy. So Favor El Idogo, if you are listening, your ebook is crying and waiting to come to you, in a matter of radio frequency. So please do so. Jude, when you were saying good morning, you did not greet internet. Please do the usual.
Good morning, internet.
The powers that be. All right, so let's head straight into the matter.
Regarding I know I was supposed to give Favor access to my online course. He should send me a message, a direct message on Facebook, so that I can take him through the process. Once he registers from the website, I would sign him. I'll give him access from my side.
Wonderful. So today is a colorful Monday. It's also a favored Monday. It's a fashion Monday as well.
I love Mrs. Adeusi's glasses.
I love
it. Even her hair is different. Her hair is different.
Yeah. With glasses, people are always admiring other people's glasses. It's the same way when Rhoda changed. I was like, oh, I like that one. Oh, it's a glasses thing.
So Titi's positioned herself to be a brand ambassador for someone, I'm sure. Just like she attacked the other day.
The problem is that a lot of glasses are not produced here with dollars. I went to ask my glasses person. When she told me the price, I said, let me go and dust out my old peers. I have lots and lots of old peers.
Glasses, right?
Titi, the Ijebu in you is coming out little by little. All right, so let's just go straight to the headline. So, what are the thoughts we have, or what did we notice on the headlines?
We are in a resumption week, or we are in resumption season. And I knew this will always happen, but I didn't know what point, but I knew it was going to happen, that we'll get to a point that everybody wants to resume by all means. By all means, they will just start not complaining about your COVID wahala, and they just want to resume school, want to resume work, want to just start life from where it stopped. And I think that is where in the season now. I listened to the video by the state government, and he was like almost resuming September, second week of September, and everything is kickstarting. I knew it's going to happen, but I didn't know what point in time that everybody wants to resume. And I think
I don't want your bubble, Jude.
Yeah.
This morning, we have news coming in that to follow suit with Lagos State on the resumption, and they believe that they're not going to resume. They're not ready to resume, and I don't know if this will put the states. I think we have some states in Southwest and Southeast as well.
Okay.
I'm going to call.
I'm very surprised. You know why? Because COVID had its greatest impact mainly in Lagos and Abuja. So a lot of the other states had been pushing, saying that, they don't have as much. I mean, in the East, a lot of my friends from the East is like life is it's slowed down, but almost really like normal, except the curfews and all that. So I would have expected that those states would quickly jump on the school resumption. So I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. It's surprising.
I think there will still be a little bit of politics playing here and there. That's
likely. Yeah. Possibly.
It's a good thing. Definitely, we are resuming. September is still a possible date for everybody.
Yeah, and Lagos itself also said it's tentative. September 21st. It's tentative.
But I think the message is clear. Start getting ready. I think that's just the message. If it doesn't happen 21st of December, at the earliest 3rd of October, it will happen. And I think the message is clear. All schools should get ready. So get ready. My advice to school is fix your own resumption date. If you need to start online first, start. But all the preparations that needs to happen, in terms of the resources, where you're going to be entry point, whatever spaces, you have to prepare. If you know the approvals you need to do, inspections that need to happen, don't let them use your school as scapegoat. They now decide that schools resume. They're going on quality assurance, and then you're just one of the people that just come and decide, because once school resume, they will need to show some form of monitoring and compliance.
Yes.
Just make sure you're ready, plan for it, communicate to your parents, what's the impact on fees, how is it going to be, plan for the scenarios that it might open and it might close, so just be planning, training your teachers on how to get ready for the safety, the washing of hands. If you don't have water now, this is the time to start saying what's the cost implication of
exactly.
The temperature, the isolation center, you just have to prepare. But
do you expect school fees to increase because you have to foot bills for fixing and preparing your centers, isolation and all that? Do you expect
this is why both. Well, it's a possibility, but this is where both parties have to work together, both the parents, the teachers, the PTA, and all that. Because if one person wants to carry the cost, it will be too much, and it's going to manifest maybe in school fees. But if everybody has a role to play, it helps. It's going to help to manage that cost. Otherwise, it's going to be expensive. It's now going to reflect in school fees.
Exactly. I mean, take for instance, so let me give you an example. You can tell that every child must come with their own hand wash. So that means that the first period, the hand wash is taken care of by the student. So every day you bring out one that has been contributed by the student. You can say that instead of increasing school fees, let them contribute 3,000 naira per person. And that 3,000 naira helps for the thermometers. It helps.
Exactly.
So it can be just that without
I would say increase sanitizers.
Yeah, hand sanitizers. So I would say increase fees, at your detriment, because what's going on.
Everybody is struggling right now, sort of like not everyone is having it so easy. So you have to make it should I say easy for your parents to stay on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The states that are not ready is Ogun State, Katsina State, Bauchi State, Enugu State, Sokoto State, Gombe, and Ekiti State. Right.
I mean, I must applaud their honesty. Honesty.
Yeah.
To saying that, because for them, they've obviously prided the safety of their populace above the activity of the economics of state. So I applaud their honesty. And my question for those states that are ready to open would be, how transparent are these processes that they have put in place to safeguard the safety and of their populace? Because that's really, really important. There's a huge number, there's a huge movement, there's a huge ecosystem surrounding reopening of schools. I mean, as we have said on this show before, the Akara woman is automatically activated. The ice cream man is automatically activated. So all of those things, all of those things.
Well,
the whole ecosystem.
all of it's an extra.
I was speaking at a session on Saturday, I believe, and I was being asked a question that, so what should teachers do in the wake of resumption? I don't even know whether the person had already heard the news at that time, because it was early Saturday morning I had that session. And it was important for me to let the participant know that while we're trying to understand that everybody's preparing for school resumption, there's a bigger resumption we must prepare for. It's the resumption to the profession as well. It seems like the profession never went on shutdown anyways, but we need to, because everybody, thank God for the likes of KK, for the likes of Azuka, for the likes of Bimbo, Gunderi, and so many people that don't stop this period. You know, it's like everybody just put down tools and just say, you know what, we're waiting for life to resume. You know, but then, as it were, we need to recognize and understand that the profession, we need to resume to the profession and resume at fast, not just to our jobs and our schools, but to the profession, right? So that's what I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's head to the conversation of the day.
Okay.
And we're speaking on a topic that is quite interesting. I was trying my possible best to get a surprise guest today, but last minute something came up. But then we are well able, especially when I look at the faces of those who put on glasses on the show. We are more than able. And then, of course, there's a spiritual prophet in the text that's going to balance the tide if there is need to. So let's talk about impact parenting today, right? Impact parenting. And I'm sure our viewers will be wondering, or well, we'll be looking forward to listening to our views on what really is parenting as of today. What should be parenting? What should be our disposition? What should be the kind of development that should take place or transpire when we are raising children? How should parenting really find expression in today's world? So I'm going to leave it to you guys to take the bait and start.
Titi!
That's a setup.
Your cousin.
This my cousin is not a correct cousin.
Serious setup.
Honestly, when I look at parenting, people say, oh, parenting is the first century. But I look at it as there's some things that are the same, and there's some things that are, are different. As a parent, honestly, it seems hard. It seems hard because your children kind of know a bit more than you, because there's the internet, there's their friends always. So even if they are not constantly on the internet, their friends are constantly on the internet, and they realize that things have changed. The building people up to be lawyers and doctors and all that has all changed. Is really building them up for what people like to say an unknown future. So each time you have to keep asking yourself, how do you build your child to be ready? How do you help them beyond the academics that school pushes? Because whether we like it or not, a lot of our schools are still focused on what are academics, and rightfully so, because that's what, so to speak, the environment is demanding immediately. How do I know a school is doing well? How do I measure critical thinking? Is there an exam they take for it? Once there's no exam for it, it's like parents feel it's not something tangible. So as a parent, you keep saying, how do you prepare your child? You don't want a child to, come into the century or the world, their own future, and then they're so unprepared for it. Skills is so obsolete. Everybody's talking computer, everybody is talking coding, but we don't know what they'll be talking saying then. So even me as a parent, I'm always constantly trying to say, how do I prepare them? What can I do beyond what is done in school? How do I also get, pass on those behaviors that in the end it's what's important? How do I resist trying to be a helicopter parent? It's a constant battle. Like, I was saying about my son trying to earn some money with his gathering of scrap. Yeah. So every point that I'm like, oh, so have you talked to other people? It's like, I'm like, should I be telling him, pushing him more, or should I just say, so how do you intend to get more beyond your immediate family? So okay, so you talk to me, you talk to auntie. So what next? Who else? Oh, mommy. I'm like, is this how I'm going to be micromanaging this guy? And then when I now told him that, okay, maybe he'll pay me an agency fee for helping, the guy was reluctant. He said, no, he doesn't want to share the money with me. So it's that thing of, I want him to see the problem he has, think about it critically, all the elements, but you know what, it's new to him. So at what point am I going to handhold him? At what point am I going to help him? Because in the end, this is what I want him to do. Same thing, there's a lot of role models out there, but I keep trying to push him to a life of impact, because everything out there is about fame and fortune. Because when I hear him and his friend talk, they're talking about fame and fortune. They're talking about, that's really the role models they are. But I'm always trying to push the position of impact and SDG goals. Or what about the poor? How do we help the poor? Anytime I support an NGO, I take him along once they're at home, to help people are suffering. So because I realize that in the end, that's really the way to go. I like what Ugochi was saying the other time, that really, to position yourself even as an international brand, is that you have to be focused on a goal that is beyond you, a bigger goal. What we tend to say now, the SDG goal. So when I think of parenting, I'm like, how do I position myself? Like the whole world, their friends, school is telling them about fame and fortune, but I'm trying to position them to say, how do you live a life of impact? How are you helping other people? So my son was head boy in his year 6, and I said, what project do you want to leave behind? Okay, so because I have plenty pairs of glasses, I said, could it be that we go and gather glasses? Let's look for who we can partner with. I'll do free training, and then all your friends in your year 6 raise money and to pay for the glasses of a poor community school in your environment. Because I want him to move away from a life of, just fame and fortune to a life of impact. And that's an intentional thing, and the more I'm hoping that more schools take on that project, because everything out there is fame and fortune. When I listen to life, it's all about fame and fortune. How do we blow? How do we be rich? How do we drive cars? When I listen to him talk he was a bit of that, but I keep on trying to balance it, because in the end, you want to, be ready for the future. And it's really when you're able to solve problems. So I personally realize that in the end, because when I look at my children, I see my bad behaviors in them as well. Because, they model what you do.
Yeah.
When I'm a shouting parent, I see them when they're trying to, So I'm also realizing that it's work in progress. That's why I'm always very reluctant of trying to push out there in terms of saying we are perfect. No, I'm also working, but I really, really see them modeling my bad behaviors. And anything that I don't do perfectly, I'm like, how did you get that from? Like, that's me. so just to end it up and say, a life of impact starts with you as a parent. You need to have laid out what you want your children to be, look back at your life and say, how much of this do you reflect in your daily life? And then what are the other things that you're using to sort of scaffold and help ensure that your child is growing up to be the leader of tomorrow, not only fame and fortune.
Fantastic. I like that intro. Did you able to paint a picture? I have a question to ask you.
See why I moved on.
Please go to the other person. KK is another.
Yeah, see,
go to my cousin.
Okay. So KK.
Okay, I mean, following from what Titi said, to be honest, thinking about being a parent of impact parenting. So what impact is it that you want to have in the life of your children? What impact is that your children should be having when they're adults? So I look at it more of being very intentional with the things that you say to the children and with your own mindset. So if you cannot pour from an empty container, to be honest with you. And so I look at myself and say, how do I feed myself? How do I put myself in that space where I am what my children need? Because they need something at different stages of their life. And a lot of times I tell people, look, don't be so focused on the picture of where the children are now, forgetting that they move. There was a time when my daughter wanted to be a fashion, runway model, to be honest with you. And you would see her, she's wearing wigs, she's wearing all sorts of things on her belt. She would paint her lips, she was all over the place, and that was her. And then she's moved into a place now where she wanted to be work with NASA. And every time we traveled, she was wearing NASA t-shirt, buying NASA t-shirt. So they've gone through so many stages of their lives. Same with my son, and I believe I was like that when I was growing as well. There were many things I wanted to be, but the reality is, you need to be who your children need. You might not be a perfect parent, but you're the perfect parent for your children, and you need to get that into your own head first of all. So if you keep focusing on the things you're not doing well, you're not going to see the things that you can do well. So one thing that I would say is think about your values and think about your faith. So I also practice a lot of faith-based parenting and say, okay, what does the Bible say concerning this particular thing? So whatever it is your faith is, that's something you want to nudge your children towards and say, what does what we believe in say about this thing that we're looking at in terms of this particular situation, right? So that's something that I would talk about as well. So what are your value system? What do you see this child as an adult being? And it's not you projecting what you want on the children. So because I wasn't able to be a ballerina, my child must be a ballerina. No, because if you do that, you already have you have created a sort of internal friction between you and that child, right? There's nothing wrong in saying, I want you to be the best that you can be. But what is that best? And that's why, again, faith-based parenting is really good, because the blueprint lies with the father who, I'm trying not to be so faith-based here. But so think about your impact, think about who you are, think about what you want that child to be, think about your today and the realities that surround the way your child is growing up. So I read physical books, for example, but my children read books on Kindle, they read e-books. So they were different, very, very different. Now we need to compensate for those realities by training ourselves and just talking with them, having conversations that open them up to you. Yeah. So let me stop.
Thank you. So let me ask this question to Safety Chick and Jude. So I'm getting the vibes from all that you've been saying, but sometimes it looks like when we talk about parenting impact or impact parenting, a lot of people feel that it's just the biological parents. It has to be you, the father and mother of the child, or something like that. So Ugochi and Jude, let me start with Ugochi. What's your take on that? When we talk about the kind of impact that will happen in a child's life in the place of parenting, is it only the biological parents that is responsible or can be responsible for that?
Okay, no, it's not only the biological parents that can do that. I've been fortunate to be parented by people who are not my biological parent. I have one in Akwa Ibom. Whenever I have the stress in Lagos is too much, I pack my bags and go there, and she takes care of me, And
you really stress in Lagos is too much for our Safety Chick.
So the thing is, it's not just only our biological parents that can do. Our biological parents set the standard because it helps you know what to look for in others. And that's where the power of modeling comes in. So yes, it's great to teach your values and all that, but are you also modeling it? Are you modeling it? My mom is still my role model, even though we've lost her now. I learned a lot just by watching the way my mom related with so many people. And then when I got to school, and then I had this fantastic teacher who took an interest in me, and she opened her home to me. I also observed the way she did things. So that modeling is so important. And you know why that modeling thing also gets to me again is very recently during this pandemic, my younger ones have been in the house, right? And I do some things around there. One day I saw one of them doing something I normally do. I did not ask him to do it by himself. He started doing not just one thing, like several things. And I asked him, why are you doing this? And I'm like, it's really important and all that. And yesterday, when he was writing his birthday message, He made reference to that just by being around you. So it's one thing for us to be telling our children this is what we expect them to do, and it's another thing for them to see you doing it in real time. And so yes, it's not only our direct parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a family friend, it could be a teacher. It could be, and that's why schools must also be, should I say, a safe space, because you don't know what people are going through at home, and they might be seeking it in schools. Our places of worship also must be a safe space. You don't know what children are going through at home, and they just need to see a positive example out there to look up to. You know, I keep having people who say, in fact, somebody still said it to me. As they said, whenever I find myself in a situation recently, I ask myself, what will Ugochi do in this situation? And that was such a surprise. I mean, if somebody's, I'm not, for Christ's sake, I'm just 31, right? So imagine, and I have those kinds of thoughts also about people who are much bigger than I am, who are older than I am. How would this person handle this situation? And it makes me make better decisions. So yes, parenting is not just the biological parent. It could come from other external factors.
Thank you so much. So Jude, Ugochi has stressed how old she is, with so many years in the world. She's growing so much brown hair. She's just dropping it like with hot, and she says she's just 31, like she's 91. And Ugochi, you are doing well.
Thank you.
Dude, over to you.
Okay, my take is I like Titi's point in avoiding pushing fame, the life of fame, because I've read this book. It's an old book by Maria Corellius, so Stories of Satan, and we had Satan talking about fame is just an air. I think that's the definition. It's just a wind, so it just goes out. So after the fame, what else do somebody have to offer? So most times you find that the blueprint for parenting is still standard. It's only the wraps, the packages that is changing over time. The packages are changing, but the foundation is still the same. Now, take for example what scriptures will say about parenting or how parents should raise their children is still the same. Even if we are going to live 10,000 years extra, it's still going to be the same standard, because it's like whoever the God that created you know how you behave or how children or adults should behave towards one another, and it's never going to change. Even if we're going to be in a civilization higher than this, even if cars are going to fly, it's still going to be the same standard. So that is what we should actually take note of, that it's only the wraps, the packages, the shapes, the sizes of parenting that actually changes, but the content is still the same. The standard content is still the same. And I'll also take from when we talk about the values we give to our children is very important, because at this stage we have so many models on Instagram and they are actually looking for fame. Yeah, everybody is doing what they seem fit. And I found that how do we tell these our children that is not a lifestyle for them, or that is not what they should be seeking? They should be seeking something higher than that. It's going to be based on mostly explaining almost everything to your child, like Titi was saying. It's very important, because sometimes you find that things you don't explain to your children now, they'll go outside and seek the answer, and if it's a wrong answer, definitely that's what they will model.
Yeah.
So imagine a child asking you, "Is God? Where did God come from? And how did God?" You understand those kind of subtle questions that we think I don't have to have the answer, but actually you have to have the answer, and at least explain it to the best of your ability to the child.
Absolutely.
The truth is that if they go outside and start asking who is God, and they meet an atheist, and an atheist start telling them God does not exist, automatically you mean that child is ruined. So no matter how much answers we don't have for our children, we should be able to explain as much as possible and actually tell them, okay, I'll find out and tell you the answer at a particular time, so that they don't go out start guessing. Because if we don't raise our children, the village people will raise them, and they might raise them.
Thank you.
Rotimi, I like your question, and your question is, how do we, do impact parenting beyond our, immediate children or biological children? And I think it's important that everybody should realize that once you become an adult and you are more aware, once you pass 21, so for those that are much younger, I think you need to ensure that you are modeling for the next generation. How much more as an educator? So you need to decide that, you know what, this thing that I'm doing is almost as if it's a God-given responsibility, it's a God-given mission, whereby I must, drop and deposit some building blocks that would, what's that word? Live through time, survive the test of time in doing something. And when we look throughout our life, like Safety Chick said, there are people in our lives that did something for us. And I don't know if I've ever given this example before. I lost my dad when I think the year that I just entered university. I know I said that. But you know what happened is that I had an auntie, and she came and told my mom that she's going to take up the schooling of the rest of us. So that was like the last 4 of us, because my others were older, so that my mom shouldn't worry. And that's what she did. So for me, what she was one of the person that modeled giving back, seriously giving back, so that I made a decision, somewhere along my life, that I was going to do the same thing. That I was going to pay school fees for other people, that want my children. And that's how I got involved in an NGO, that were providing free education. And I said, you know what, I'm going to sow a seed, and I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to pay as much as I can. I started with a number, and as God blesses me, I increase the number. And these are people that no strings attached, not that later on you expect that, oh, let them come and pay homemade after all I sent them through school. No strings attached. So that from modeling, that people do. So mine is, in every way, you need to realize that you are parenting somebody. It could be in the way that you're a very ethical teacher. People know that, when you're in university, we always expect, after all, they'll be selling handouts. I don't know what they do now. In our own time, the lecturer will be selling. But there are ethical lecturers that you meet, and that, they just tick the box. They just show you that this is what. It's the same thing when you're in business. You meet some people that are just ethical. What they say is what they do. It becomes like a form of parenting, because you realize that it's not all businessmen are crooked and all that. So what I'm trying to encourage everyone there is that decide to be a role model in wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing. Be that ethical person. I worked in a place whereby people say, oh, this is how this business is. And I made up my mind, no. I grew up, I'm not going to do that. People say, oh, mother, everybody's not. I said, no, I'm sorry. When I grew up with parents saying that riches was better than, good name was better. That's where I grew up. Riches was better than, and our parents were civil servants. So for us, that was it. But these civil servants are making money. Yes, they must be. But my father was, a good name is better than. I now started my career in an ethical organization. So by the time I came out into business, it was for me, there was no other way. There was no other way. People say, no, do this. No, this is it. This is the cost. If you're not happy with the cost, then I work. So I think it's important that we realize that we can't parent some people. I met a boss that told me he was Igbo. And he told me that he had made up his mind, because where he grew up in his village, it was only like Yahoo boys that were the people that were rich. And he made up his mind that he was going to do it differently. He was going to be rich, but he was going to be rich ethically. So when he goes back to the village, he can be the model to show that it's not only that way that you can be rich. You can be rich, doing legitimate business. And that is exactly what he set out to do. So as we talk about impact parenting, I'm going to end by saying all of us decide to be an impact parent to whoever is watching.
Yes.
Okay, so
okay, KK, you want to say something?
Yes, so talking about modeling, I want to talk about the importance of mentoring, because as a mentor, that's also in some way parenting. So for people who are looking for those who are actually modeling behaviors, either in business or in life in general, it's good for you to identify who are these people who, and for somebody, and that's the mistake a lot of people make, right? When they choose mentors, they say, oh, this person is great all around. They don't think about themselves and their needs, right? So you must look at yourself and say, who is the person that I need at this time for this specific reason, and then find that person, because that person almost becomes like a parent for you. They're talking to you, they're giving you advice, they're asking you questions. So their mindsets, their thought patterns begin to actually shape even the way you approach some things, and some of the decisions that you take will be based on some of the advice that you've been given. So for us who are mentors, and for those who are mentoring relationships that are active, and those who are seeking mentors, so mentees, be very careful who you're trying to model your life after, because again, something Jude said, that there's so much going on social media. There are a lot of Instagram parents out there, and the reality is they are nothing like the highlights that they're showing us on all of their timelines, right? So you want to dig deep and actually say, who is this person, and what area of this person am I going to latch onto? That would help. So yeah, the space of mentoring cannot be de-emphasized when you're talking about impact parenting, and actually that whole space of mentoring.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask us this question before we take the comments from the audience. I want you guys to just think back, or sit back and think. I want you to pick one or two things. Titi actually did a little by starting off on that journey. So I want us to think about it and say, okay, what's that thing that you find expressive in your today life that you think was more or less a deposit from parenting, as it was, as something of impact, right? While you're thinking about that, let me share mine and also buttress on what Keke just said. I am from a family of 3 boys, so we had no choice than to learn how to cook, so to speak. I remember the first thing I mastered cooking was rice. And when I got that formula of cooking rice, if you saw the way my onions were, you would think they were live snails in the pot. It wasn't diced properly. It was the coily kind of thing. It was. I made it a signature dish. Ooh. And so I went for that to try jollof rice, and I promised them in the house, and I was speaking with so much confidence, right? By the time the jollof rice came out, the tomato decided not to blend, But then I had a father, and I had parents who did not, say, okay, you know what, it's not your place. They left it as our responsibility. If you cook it, it's good, fine. If you cook it is bad, we share your bad, but they will torment you with the memory. So that that made me go to get Onward textbook. I don't know if you remember the Onward 80 Leaves. That's where I went to write the recipe for fried rice. And my first fried rice was stone rice. Yes, fried rice was stone rice, because I literally fried the rice. I fried the rice before it became rice. So because it's fried rice, so it was green fried rice, put it that way. But then and today I love cooking. I can cook several things. I will amaze you. I don't think anyone can beat me in cooking. That's my own assertion. But I noticed that, because also my dad normally cooks Saturdays. Saturday, Sundays is always cooking. In fact, my learning how to make stew was from observing my dad. How to price meat was from observing my dad, And then my mom has a way of frying egg. There's a way. So all those things, right? Sometimes when we talk about impact parenting, there's the primary impact and effect. There's the secondary impact and effect. Now, the primary impact and effect might be based on the activity, the basic activity that, I learned this. Now, I was exposed to corporate life very early at the age of 7. And it has affected me on a secondary level at my doing work. So my kind of work ethics, ability to work long hours, ability to do multiple projects can be traced to that as well. So sometimes people call me desert warrior because of the capacity or the dexterity I take to do things. And it's because of that impact. It's part of parenting, right? It's that impact has affected me. So I'd like you guys to share your thoughts. Just like KK said, Instagram parenting. Some people don't even know the kind of impact that they have on people. They're just having a great time. Yeah. Just as some of our teachers did not know that making us hate certain subjects affected our career choices later. That's the same way some coaches, mentors, or speakers also do not know while they are having fun rhyming words. They might not know that they are shaping some people's perception, right? About life, about men, about women, about success, about certain fields, So I'd like you guys to share. And over to Titi, then Jude, KK, and Ugochi.
Please, can we see Titi?
I was trying to decide which of my plenty experiences. Living in a house of 7, it's plenty experiences. But I'm telling you, but I think one of the things that have impacted me is actually having plenty siblings. So what happens is that, there are a lot, that I say there are different things that help model. Everybody had different temperaments. And I'm like number 5, so a bit further down the food chain, so to speak. So what I meant is that you need to, it was like learning politics early. That's just what I would call it. So even though my mother was the mother of the house, my older siblings were the real power brokers, because in the end, you spend more time with them. So my mom would give an instruction, but the power brokers, determined what would be with this. So I think what happened for the rest of the younger ones, that we quickly learned how to maneuver, manipulate, because you report your older ones, to your parents. It's fine, they will scold them, they will punish them, but remember that your parents go to work.
Go to work.
Brokers during the daytime. So when I look at that experience, I think it helped me to quickly, when I'm in a situation, quickly see who are the stakeholders, who are the power brokers. It's quite different. Who are the people that you need to rally with? Who are the people that you must ruffle their feathers? The people that in the end, you just find a way to, cascade everybody, but still get what you want done. Because that's really what that's why they say that people that come from polygamous homes or what, they are manipulative. Because when those things play out with you every day, you're either a very sensible person that knows how to buy your way, or you're just someone that just ends up backing the wrong thing. So I think for those of us that needed to survive, and that's the interesting thing. So I find out today, when I go to a teacher, I quickly model, I quickly say, look at this one. What's the person's up to? What will make the person happy? Because so some people, it's just small. For your sister, you was calling their sister. Even though they're for another one is this this thing. For another one, telling out on your parents. Mommy said, but I think we should, because that in the end, the power brokers are the ones whose was lost. It's interesting. Looking back, it's amazing that those things are part of the things that had an impact in terms of, my. So I try to tell my children to say, you need to study. Why did you say that? Didn't you realize that you should have done it like that? Because that emotional intelligence, you can't buy it in the market. It's really very important.
All right.
Okay. My own shaping factor also stemmed from family. Like Mr. Rotimi said, he can cook. I think I can cook better than him.
Shots fired. You guys are going to cook for the ladies of this show. You guys will cook for the ladies of this show, and then we'll make a decision. Yeah.
Ugoti, we will fight and run. We need to fight another day and win.
So, being like a first child, and being a first child, I found out I had to do a lot of domestic things growing up because of younger ones coming up. Right? Parents will feel you are the stronger one, so you should do the fetching of water, you should do the washing and all that. So it was punishment. I felt it was punishment. It was too much. I felt, am I the only first child in this life? But now, actually, it has really helped me, because I don't know how it would have been eating outside when they say there's lockdown, or how it has been. It would have been trying to survive, because I think cooking is a survival skill, which should be taught. It's a survival skill. So it's not a matter of being rich or being poor or being wealthy. Whether you are wealthy or not, learn how to. It's a survival skill, because it's going to help you. It's actually going to determine other way your brain is wired to adapt to certain tasks. Because I feel if you can cook, you can code. If you can cook, you can do a lot of technical things around yourself. Even wiring houses, doing little wiring and all that, it actually helps at this point in my life where I have to be very technical and I have to be very efficient, and I don't really rely too much on external help too much. So it's actually helped me a lot.
Fantastic. Safety check.
Okay, so growing up was good practice for me.
Go ahead, safety check.
I can't wait to.
No,
I can't
wait.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
Okay. So growing up, a lot of things I know today, a lot of things that help me in the work I do today is things that I learned in my home. You know, when very recently I've been speaking and encouraging parents to have something called a family safety meeting and how to make it interesting. Now, it wasn't as if we had that in my house, but it was something we had in my house that makes me to share that. And that is we had this thing that happened in my family on a periodic basis where we're all gisting together. Our mom is sharing her experience. We too were adding ours. And because we were in that comfortable environment to gist, we could share concerns and then she would advise, stuff like that. And so now I'm taking that model and telling parents that if you have a conducive environment in your home, is to make your children feel free to tell you when things begin to happen. Do you see? So it was because of I had that experience growing up. Even now, there's so many things we do at home that we know that it was because our mom modeled it to us. She showed such valuable example. And my dad was not left out. The reason I am a very punctual person today is because if something is happening at 10 o'clock and you live with my father, you are going to leave the house by 5. Like you will go there and wait for the gate man to come and open the door. Do you get it? So it just became a part of us, to be punctual and then even hard work. So I've seen a lot of qualities in my home that encourage me to be the kind of person that I am today. And it's just so important. And funny thing is, sometimes it may not be that they directly said anything to you. It's just that they did it. So my father is an act of service person. My father is not the father that will come and tell you, oh, I love you, or start hugging you up and down. No, but he gets the work done. All I need to say is to just say something to the hearing of my sibling. My dad is going to get into motion. The other day, I wrote how I started. I was advised to take ugu and all that. My dad watched my Facebook story. The next time I went to the fridge at home, I saw fresh vegetables. Like maybe they went to Tata. I learned from watching.
Maybe I should tell your dad that your colleagues are looking for cake to eat. Daddy, if you can hear us, please.
I like coffee ice cream.
And cake eba and okra.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, daddy.
But you see,
where are you?
But you see, that thing I have observed in my house, it just changed my perspective. So when I actually hear people who say their parents dislike them, because there are actually cases like that, where the parents mistreat the children, they do not value them, they talk down on their self-esteem, it just makes me see that, oh my God, I had something good. So that home front is so valuable. How we create it, the kind of values we put there, it makes it beautiful.
Okay, so KK, please, your comment will be the last comment on the show today.
Okay, so for me, right? Okay, so I'm like Titi, to be honest. Actually, I had 7. We're 7, yeah. So I was number 4 on the sibling chart, and I was the first girl. So that kind of shaped me a lot in the sense that I mean that's why a lot of times people tell me, okay, you're always so endearing, you're so open, and I'm like, well, you have to be open when you have boys before you, and then you have how many other people after you. You just have to be. And being the first girl kind of puts a lot of pressure on you, especially from when you're from Edo State. And again, I think generally speaking, to be honest, yeah. And something as well that happened in my house is I grew up with people who I didn't even know. So my father was very open. He would meet somebody at the lecture and say, oh, I'm in University of Benin, I'm a lecturer, I have a house on campus. When your child comes to school, they can stay in my house. And so I had people living in my house who they were not my relation. I didn't know them from Adam. But that was kind of house that we had. And that's how my house is even right now. I have people who just stay with me. My siblings stay. Sometimes they bring their friends to stay. And so that kind of shapes that openness that I have. Then in terms of the energy that I always seem to exude, that came from my dad, right? My dad was so energetic. I mean, he always does so much things with vigor. I mean, he was an ASU warlord. That was my father, Dr. Dimo. A serious, strong ASU warlord. He would fight the federal government to a standstill.
I had all of that
well, there's nobody to fight right now, but, well, there are people to fight. I'm choosing my battles wisely. So that kind of helped as well. And he was very professional. So my father would always be willing to help you if you were a younger colleague or even if you were a student. So all of those value systems, to be honest, kind of shaped me. And then before I go up, when I was in primary school, I had this really terrible experience. And this has helped me in terms of being a teacher. So I wanted to pee. I had just moved to, I don't even know if I should share that on YouTube. But anyway, it was... It wasn't a really good experience, right? I actually peed on myself because I was in primary 1. I just moved from nursery. I wanted to pee. My teacher said no, and I couldn't hold the pee. So every single time I'm doing onboarding for teachers, the first thing I say is student voice is so important. You must give your students a safe haven, somewhere where they know that they're respected, they're important, and their needs will actually be met in the classroom. So all of these things have actually helped to shape who I am today. Yeah. Thanks.
Titi, please read the last comment as we wrap up and close the show with time.
This is from Lola Aneke, and she's saying, very true, Rotimi Eyitaya. Many individuals on social media are probably unaware that the content they share could be impacting parenting or mentoring. Some could be impacting parenting or mentoring someone directly or indirectly. Hence, they need to be intentional. My goodness, they need to be intentional in all we do, just as the fact has been established on the show, that parenting is not just biological, and that parenting skills and style keeps evolving. Honestly, every time you push out something, just be intentional. Just be intentional. Even this women and our dieting thing, sometimes I'm just like, also trying to calm down so my children don't think, because part of it, they just feel that there's something really wrong. And then they start having unhealthy so it's even for me, I'm like, the other time my son was saying, he doesn't want to be fat. I'm like, hey, at what age now? So we everything we do, we just need to realize that it's impacting parenting or monitoring someone directly or indirectly.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Ringing the bell of blessing for those who joined us online, those who will join us for the first time afterwards. Thank you so much. We've had a great time. Please understand that parenting must be treated as a gift. And when you treat it as a gift beyond the responsibility, you will reflect on doing the best you can with it, right? We all know what happened, Saturday morning, I believe. Was it Saturday or Sunday morning? When we heard the news about the Wakanda.
Yeah.
Yes, Chadwick Boseman. And you know, it was a reflective weekend for most people. And this is just to put the icing on the cake that parenting has to be intentional, deliberate, it must be impactful, but it must be treated as a gift. See, we'll come your way tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be fantastic. Lola Nikki is going to be in the building, and we're going to have a fantastic time together. Make sure it's always a great morning at your end, because it's always a great morning at our end on the Good Morning Education Show. See you tomorrow. And our analysts are waving and saying bye.
Bye.
Saying bye.